Welcome back to the Real Rugby Show. The Springbok team has been announced for the Northern Tour to the UK at the end of the year, and I'm here with Matthew Rhodes discussing who's been picked and who's lost out in Rassie's latest team selection. Welcome, Matt.
Thanks, bud.
Good to see you.
Thanks.
Let's get stuck into it.
Yeah.
Right, the team has been announced, and the one thing that I said to you is Rassie has clearly shown his intent here.
Mate.
I thought initially when we had this discussion a couple of weeks ago, I said, he's going to pick a young team. He's going to blood some young players. I thought he was going to pick guys like Cameron Hanekom and Lorenzo Julius and these guys that showed promise to blood them. He's made it very, very clear that he's picked a side to come to the UK to win tests. That's it.
It's an army. It's an army of standout individuals, as you would expect in any kind of Springbok team. But this is a force to be reckoned with.
No, it's a proper team.
Yeah.
Props. Who's he picked? Who's he gone for?
So on the forwards, he's gone with Thomas du Toit, Vincent Koch, Frans Malherbe, Oxen Chair, and Gerhard Steenkamp.
Yeah.
So those are the props that he's chosen. We talked off air about one or two of them already. Thomas du Toit is an interesting selection for me. He's played exceptionally well at Bath, but I don't ever feel I love him. I really liked him when he played at the Sharks, being an ex-Sharks boy. He's not called Thomas the Tank for nothing. He's solid, and he's played exceptionally well, as I say, for Bath. But I just feel he hasn't really taken that dominance from the kind of provincial level up into the international stage when he's got his opportunities to show and shine.
Yeah.
So hopefully this time round, he gives it a good hot crack on it.
I don't think there's any surprises when it comes to props. I agree with you on Thomas. He's always been great. He's been great at the Sharks. He's been, I think, player of the season for Bath last year. He had a monumental season. Hasn't quite done the job at test level, not to the level that we saw of Frans Malherbe or Ox at Loosehead. The great thing about Thomas is he does play his rugby in the Northern Hemisphere. I think he'll be more used to the conditions.
Yeah.
And he can cover both sides of the scrum if need be. So he covers for Trevor, who's one of the unlucky guys to lose out. And similarly, you've got Jan-Hendrik Wessels as a utility forward who can technically cover loosehead prop, hooker, and loose forward. He can play all three. So he provides a lot of utility in the forward pack.
Rassie's done well to pick Thomas, I think, for that utility option. Because you're right, he can play on both sides. And as I said, I hope he goes really well in this series.
Yeah.
Because as you've just mentioned there, he knows the conditions really well. He plays here for his club, and hopefully this is the environment and the time where he gets to shine. Yeah.
Another one that missed out was Steven Kitsoff. Obviously, he's still injured. Apparently, his neck injury is a lot worse than we initially thought. So we actually don't know if he's going to come back. I hope he does, but it looks like bad news for him.
I'm really sorry to hear that, because I love Kitsy. He's obviously a fantastic rugby player, but he gives our scrum another dimension when he plays. He's double World Cup winner, like an amazing player in his own rights. And he's just a character, and you want to see him playing. And obviously, we hope and we pray that his injury isn't as bad as maybe what's being touted out there at the moment. So unlucky that he misses out this time, but we look forward to hopefully seeing him back in.
The Ginger Plum, very sad to see him out of action.
From one ginger to another, we look forward to seeing him back on the field.
Yeah, I think another noteworthy player that missed out was Wilco Lowe. But again, looking at the players that Rassie did pick, hard to find space for him. I get the logic behind the picks. And I even think somebody like Trevor, writing's on the wall. He's in his mid-30s now. He's played 2 World Cups, won 2 World Cups. I can't see Trevor coming back into the side unless there's like a whole string of injuries.
Mate,
so,
if we have
strong forwards.
If we struggle at 10, the dummy and the try that he scored the other day, which we'll have to show, makes him a really good option, especially with his dance moves to get up at 10 if we lack depth ever in that position.
I'll show the dance moves, I won't show the try.
Okay. I don't think that's fair, but we'll let that go.
But thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay. Hooker, again, strong statement from Rassie. He's only picked 2. He's picked Bongi and Malcolm Marx. And hasn't picked Johan Grobelaar, who was part of the squad earlier this year. Hasn't picked Joseph Dweba, who seems to be out in the wilderness a little bit. But again, Jan-Hendrik Wessels is your third option. So we've got cover at hooker. Technically, there are 3 hookers in the side.
Yeah, and if needs be, again, a bit tongue-in-cheek, we've seen Cheslin throw the ball in.
Yeah.
If he needs to, he'll go up front as well.
Yeah, that'll go for. Jesse can play hooker.
He can play any position in the world.
I don't know if his scrumming is that strong, but
no, we're solid. I think he's gone with 2 world-class hookers. There's backup options with utility players, so we're compact and we're strong in that position in particular.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Locks, 2 notable names back in the squad, RG Snyman and Franco Mostert.
Yeah.
Stoked for these guys to be back. And then another guy that retained his place, which we thought might lose out to somebody like Jean Klein, was Ruan Urquia. But again, he played so well in the Rugby Champs that he deserves his place in the squad, which was awesome to see.
He put his hand up and he is deserving for his selection. So congrats to him. But yeah, just amazing to see that set of locks coming through, world class, every single one of them. And nice to see Achia back in action, scoring tries. We talked about it in our previous shows, but scoring tries and really looking solid and strong. So his inclusion in the squad is justified.
Yeah, absolutely. And Franco Mostert also back from a long injury. Haven't seen him play. I don't think he has played. I think he's coming in cold, so they might, just play him off the bench or give him 20 minutes against Wales or something like that. But again, good to see him back on the field.
Workhorse, like an absolute engine on him. You always know what you're going to get out of him. He's in, in the dark arts, really deep in any kind of maul or breakdown. And he's solid. He just, what you're going to get.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I think for Rassie, even though he hasn't played, he gives him that confidence of what he can bring to the table, and if he needs to, Rassie's got him in his back drawer. So I'm not saying that he's going to use him as a bit player, but for someone who hasn't had a lot of game time, I wouldn't expect he would be thrown straight in. But Rassie being Rassie, you never know, he might just do that straight off the bat and start to blood him straight from the get-go. So, but if he's physically fit and, he's raring to go, and which he would be if he's selected, then, as I say, you know what you're going to get.
Yeah. I think unlucky players to miss out, obviously Jean Klein, he's also coming back from injury, and then Salman Murat, who is injured. So I thought Klein might get the nod again, but happy to see Ruan Urquia. Then again, Peter Steff gives you that cover. If you need a 5th lock, we know he can slot in easily. Yeah,
and that's a nice little segue into the Lucies. You've got Peter Steff, Toy, Sia, Alric Lowe, Kwaka, Marco van Staden, and Jasper Wiese as well. Again,
just
unbelievable.
Nothing wrong with that depth.
Just world class players in every right. Peter Steff, Toy, we've talked about it before. I think he'd be the first man on any of my game sheets on any given day. Sia's there, captain, my captain. With Kwaka and Maka, whether they're starting, I would prefer to have them come on as the bomb squad, as we know. I think they're better impact players with 30 odd minutes to go. But Mr. Eskom, you know what you're going to get as well, right?
Yeah.
So all in their own right. I know that Rusty's talked about this previously, in the past rather, where there's nothing like a 15-man, and if you're on the bench, then that's like, you should look at yourself as a subpar character. Everyone has an amazing part to play, and sometimes those people that come on in the second part of the game are the ones that win it for us. And so I'd just like to see those people come on, because I feel like they impact more.
Yeah, and actually, I think Mils Muliaina made this comment on the breakdown a couple of weeks ago, where he said that Rassie is the only coach that really thinks about a team as a 23-man team, and not a starting team and a bench team. He sees all 23 players as equally good, and you all have a role to play. So, yeah.
But I think as well, it's fair to say that all 23 of them are equally good.
Absolutely.
Like, if any one of those players was selected within the squad, and we looked at the squad, 1 to, 23, 32, whatever it is, and it's like, people are going into battle with this. It's like, so whatever the 15 is that's picked on the day, it'd be very comforting as a Springbok player right now to know that any man outside you is worthy of that position.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree.
Yeah.
I think notable omissions in the Lucies, the ones that I can think of is Ben Jason Dixon, who, got capped this year, played a couple of tests against the All Blacks. He was okay, didn't shine, did his job. made some rookie errors. A big one for me was Cameron Hanekom. You know that I've been raving about this guy and punting him. We know that Rassie likes him and that he's probably, at some point he is going to get capped. I thought he would make this trip for some reason. But again, it shows that a guy like Ulrich Loh, who got an opportunity this year, got multiple opportunities, just played so well coming off the bench.
Took it with both hands.
Yeah.
Like he got given his chance and no one's wrestled it away from him.
So where does it leave someone like Evan Roos, who we know also, had an opportunity at international level, has played some tests. I now suddenly have serious question marks on whether he'll make it back into the squad.
I think the opportunity is always going to be there, and from what we've seen from Rassie is he picks on form. Granted, Franco Mustard coming back hasn't played, would suggest that that's not always the case. But to me, at least, it looks always as if whoever's playing the best rugby is the man for the job on the day, or for whatever series it is. And so for Eben, he may have got his berthing, he may have got the chance, he may have slipped down the pecking order, but that's not to say that the door, I think, will ever be closed, because if you're playing out of your boots and you're knocking on the door and you're showing that the jersey is yours by right, I think Rassie is good and fair and equal in that sense, and he'll get back in. But it's up to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, no surprises in the Lucy's
Yeah.
bloody strong side.
Yeah. Any of those people, any day of the week playing any one of those positions, I'm happy.
Yeah, we are the envy of World Rugby. I know it sounds arrogant, but if you look at the squad, 34 players, it's like pick any player in any position, and they'll be able to beat any team in the world. That's my firm belief.
A lot of people all of a sudden thinking that we're really arrogant by saying that, but it's actually something that we believe. It's the truth. This squad is a testament to the depth and the strength of South African rugby at the moment. Every single one of those players is world class.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, looking at the back line, only 3 scrummies made the cut.
Yeah.
Jaden Hendrikse, Kobus Reinach, and
Grant Williams. Yeah, Grant Williams, who obviously came on second half in the game on the URC on the weekend, played really well. Again, every time he gets the ball, he's exciting and dynamic. He's so fast.
Yeah.
So, and he gives you options, again, utility. It's nice to see that at different positions across the board, whether it be in the front row, back row, across the loosies, into the backs, there are people who are dynamic enough to play their position and or step into a different role if they need to. And Grant's one of those people. He can play wing, but his preferred position is 9.
Yeah.
So,
but that just opens up so many options for Rassie. If you think about it, just a position like scrum half, Grant Williams can cover wing. He played wing in the World Cup against Romania. We remember that. And then someone like Jaden Hendrikse, we saw kicking for post against Argentina. Okay, maybe wasn't that successful, but it didn't kick worse than Mani, but at least it took pressure off Mani. So now suddenly Rassie's got this option of, if I play Mani, we don't have a kicker, maybe we bring Damian Willemse in at fullback, he can cover kicking, Jaden can cover kicking, it takes the pressure off Mani. It just, when you start thinking about the utility factor that a lot of the players bring, it just opens up so much opportunity for Rassie to play around with a selection.
Agreed. And another one, although he hasn't been utilised, I don't think, maybe once or twice, but Kobus Reinach is so fast. His dad was, it's in the genes. His dad was a athletics champion. I think it was a sprinter, 400 meter.
400 meter sprint champion.
400 meter sprint champion. Kobus Reinach is lightning fast. And so if ever we needed, not that we do because we've got depth across the board in this position, but if needed, he could play wing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got the speed. So no complaints about the scrummies. Again, the best 3 in the position. Faf is injured.
I thought, Faf is injured, unfortunately. And I gave a shout out to Sanela Nahamba last week as a potential to come in at the 9 and play utility 10, but given the strength of his team, there's no place for him.
There's no place for him. That's the sucky thing.
It's unfortunate, but again, the 3 that he's picked, I think, are the 3 standout characters playing 9 at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, then Mani Lubok and Andre Pollard. There's been lots of chat about Mani. I think he's a confidence player. and Russ is backing him, and as the team are backing him, he's dynamic with the ball in hand, runs hard, finds space, puts people in. So he plays attacking rugby. And yes, his kicking has been subpar. But if you've got other kickers on the field that can cover that position, then maybe that's not so much of an issue. And the more and more that Rassie is picking him, the more and more he's showing love to Marnie, the more and more likely Marnie's going to come out of his shell, play with confidence, and maybe that'll translate into his kicking as well.
Yeah. So question, first test of the year, Rassie picks Jordan Hendricks at fly-off.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a good day, and he gets dropped. When he picked him, Rassie made the comment that he picked his strongest possible team, although Marnie was available for selection. Marnie didn't even make the 23. Does that close the door for Jordan Hendricks completely? Did he fluff his chance in the Springbok side? Because he's playing good rugby again. So
he's playing really good rugby again. And, the other side of that coin is he's kicking from everywhere.
Yeah.
And his kicking has been outstanding. Even in trying conditions when the wind's coming down and the rain's coming down.
Exactly, but he's proved what Pollard did. A good kicker will win you championships. He did it for the Sharks.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, again, a bit like the Russ question. Is the door closed on him forever? I don't think so. I think the more and more he plays well, the more and more he stands out, the more and more he'll put his hand up. I think if he continues to kick as well as he is, he has to be considered, because kickers win you championships, right? Kickers win you. You look at across the board throughout history, every winning team has had an outstanding kicker who's just ticked the scoreboard over in those games, in those crunch games, just kept them in the fight, so that even when it's really, really tight and you win by 1 or 2 points like we did through the World Cup recently, it was because a lot of the time we got our kicks when we needed to, right? So you need to have confidence in your kicking and in your kicker. And if he continues to play dynamic rugby and Marnie can only play dynamic rugby, well then you'll have to look at it and go, well, he's doing as much as you, but he's also got this which elevates him above you, right? So I would think just continue doing what you're doing, and the future will present its opportunities.
Okay, fair enough. But Pollard's still the bit pick of the bunch, right? Specifically in the Northern Hemisphere, he plays his rugby up the road from us.
Yeah.
I think he's the obvious starter out of those two.
We went to go watch Leicester Tigers the other day against Northampton Saints. First game back for him. He ran the game and the team well. He's the general that runs the line so well. Again, puts people into space, finds an opportunity. He just plays with such a calm, and his kicking, both out of hand and off the deck, just gives you confidence.
Yeah.
But take nothing away, he's solid in defence as well. And as this weekend proved, scored a really, really good try, running in hard off a set move and coming in on the line. So, good attacking, good defence, good all round. He is. Yeah. He's champion.
A champion.
Exactly.
He's a champion. No surprises in the midfield, I think, in terms of the four Oaks that they selected. Great to see Andre Esterhuizen back.
Yeah, he's had, again, a bit like Thomas du Toit. He's come up and he's played for Springboks, but maybe not emulated the type of rugby that he's had at the provincial level. He's there and thereabouts, and he's this type of character that you just want it to just shine for him. Like, he's had a few great games for the Springboks when he's worn the jersey, but I don't think it's as comparable as the stuff that he does week in and week out.
Yeah.
For his teams, whether that was at Harlequins, I think it was, and then
he was at Harlequins
and at the Sharks now. But there's no denying he's a dynamic player. He's strong, carries the ball hard, breaks tackles. He's got a big siege gun boot on him as well when he puts.
I saw that.
When he puts his laces
nice
through
lefty.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he puts his laces through it. And then someone like that who's a battering ram, obviously usually brings in two defenders, and that opens up space, and he's got a good offload as well in the tackle. So I'm really, really chuffed for him getting selected again, and I wish him well. I hope this is the moment where, again, he gets to shine in the Springbok light.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree with you. I think maybe consistency at international level has been his Achilles heel. But I think back to that test we played against the All Blacks at Twickenham where we smashed them last year, just before the World Cup. I watched that game, I was there, and I actually messaged my dad afterwards and said, I think Esterhuis and Moody might be our best centre combination. Okay, it didn't work out that way, but they were so good on the day that it got you really excited. So he's shown glimmers of what he can do at international level. Let's see if he gets an opportunity. I think Wales, out of the 3 tests that we're going to play, Wales is going to be the test where they might, play around with some combinations.
Why do you think it is that he hasn't been able to kind of emulate what he's done in week on week?
I think consistency and selection. You often see that with players. It's like you've got to back them regardless of their performance. There's been times where we, think about somebody like Faf. I know he's frustrated a lot of people in South Africa, but he stuck with him, and then it paid off, and we won championships and trophies, right? So I think the fact that he's playing behind Damien makes it very difficult because he only gets the odd game. He's never really been backed as the number one choice. I think if Rassie says, okay, fine, I'm going to bench Damien the whole season and you need to prove yourself, he'll step up. I think he's good enough. But again, behind a guy like Damien the Islander, he's been so good. I mean, he's the one player in the team that I think it doesn't get talked about that much.
Yeah, understand.
He doesn't get the credit he deserves. A lot of people criticize him, and I don't know why. He is awesome. And him and Jesse, I mean, that combo, they're now the most capped centre combo in Springbok history, and they deserve to be. I mean, everyone always raved about Jean de Villiers and Jock Footy, but these 2 guys are on another level playing together.
Both of them a little bit undersung. Jesse not so much now, really come into his own and taken ownership of that role for the last 2 or 3 seasons at least, and then some. But kind of broke into the Springbok team and then went out into the wilderness a bit, and then has come back and had a resurgence. So I think, and then that's why this whole dynamic duo combination of the 2 of them together maybe doesn't get the recognition that it needs. Because they, like I say, a little bit undersung, and Damien's part of that, right? He's not as sort of flash as maybe some other centres that we've had before. He just gets in and does his job, and he does it exceptionally well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm tough to see Lukanya Arm as well back in the squad.
Yeah,
because again, he is someone that he's a fantastic rugby player, but I think he's just exceptional at doing the little things, the things that create the margins. I think he does them very, very well.
Yeah. He actually reminds me a lot about Ma'a Nonu. Back in the day, when Nonu went away from the Hurricanes and played for the Blues and played for the Highlanders, he never played well in Super Rugby, and he was quiet. And then people thought, oh, is he losing his place in the All Blacks side? And then he gets picked for the All Blacks, and then he smashes everyone and plays a blinder. And Lukanya is very much the same. He can have the odd quiet game for the Sharks, but when he's in green and gold, mate, he produces, and he plays a blinder every time.
And that's also talking to what was Steve Hansen's man management at the time.
Yeah.
Because again, Nonu would be rubbish in the Super Rugby games, and again, everyone would be calling for someone else to step in, and then come the day to don the AB's jersey, and he'd be smashing everyone.
Yeah.
And I think showing confidence in, we picked you because we know you're that good. You might have had a bit of a run of bad form, but you're class, and we understand that. Maybe that's the kind of mentality that Rassie's applying to people like Marnie, like Esterhuis. Even though for Esterhuis he's been in and out, I think it's like, we know you're good. Show us that you are.
Yeah. What do we say about the outside backs? I mean, bloody hell! I sent you a pic earlier today with 7 faces and said pick 3. Unbelievable. The quality that we have out wide. I mean, that is, I said, we're the envy of most nations worldwide. But
we have to be.
The outside backs prove it. I mean, now that we have Damien back, he's been playing well. We spoke about him in our last video.
Canan Moody's back.
Canan Moody's back, and he's looking in
sharp.
fine form.
He's looking sharp.
Brilliant, man. And
so yeah, back the backs are Kurdley Arendse, Apalele Fasi, Cheslin Colby, Willie Leroux, Makazole Mapimpi, Canan Moody, and Damien Willemse. Cheslin Colby, we don't need to shine a focus on, because he is an absolute champion. He's probably, in my opinion, the best player in the world. I know a lot of people would say DuPont, but I disagree. I think it's Cheslin. Villy LaRue, class, real world class ball player. He's also got a rugby player's mentality, a rugby player's mind. And I think I read somewhere that Jake White has told Kanan Moody to kind of buddy up with him at the Bulls.
I told you that.
I also read it somewhere.
I'm your news source.
You are my news source. But
no, he did.
He told him to buddy up so that he could learn how to be as vocal as Villy is on the field.
Yeah.
He's a young fella. The budding up system is good. And that's the thing that Villy gives you is he just reads the game so well from 15. He directs people. He's always talking. He's putting people into the right positions, both in defense and offense. And he joins the line really well. And also plays that first receiver. And, he comes into the line, which obviously creates space outside so well. So, again, Cheslin, amazing. Villy, amazing. Lucky to see Makazole Mapimpi coming back into the team as well.
Yeah.
Chuffed with that. And he's a try-scoring machine.
Yeah, he's not first choice anymore, but again, on attack, he always produces.
Yeah.
Like, you put him into space, he will score. There were, the game against Argentina in Santiago that we lost, there were some defensive mishaps on Mapimpi's side, but I think he can be forgiven for that because he is a strong defender. I think that was more an organizational issue in the back line. So, no, great to see him. Again, question mark around his longevity. Is he going to make 2027? I don't think so. He's already in his 30s.
He's a tank. He's
a
tank, and he doesn't make too many mistakes. You highlighted a couple here, but if you look at the career that he's had, when he's on the field, you've again got confidence, as you do across all of these people, right? So, Cheslin Colby, Villy LaRue, Makazole Mapimpi, and then Damian Willemse, we saw him on this weekend. The weekend before, had a bit of a tough game, came back last weekend, he was stepping people so that they could see the other side of their face. Your man has just the most amazing sidestep on him, and he was playing some sexy rugby on the weekend.
I think there's some of those Munster boys still buying some of those sidesteps. They're still running, they're still chasing it.
Yeah. Apalele Fasi, really happy for him. He, through the championship, and over this past year, has really stood up and he's taken his opportunity. And another guy who I don't think you could have left out of the team based on his performances. He's been solid under the high ball. He's good with ball in hand. He plays attacking rugby. He reads the game so well. His positional play is fantastic. And again, he's someone who likes to return the ball. He's got a good kick on him, but he likes to run with the ball in hand.
Yeah.
And that's what I like. But Curdley Aronsa as well, just
magic on attack.
Magic, man.
Yeah,
magic on attack. So, and then finally, obviously, Kanan Moody, which we talked about. He's a star for the future. He's tall, big, strong. He's just dynamic.
Yeah. Absolutely. You're saying a star for the future. I think
he's a star now. Don't get me wrong.
I think the future's now.
Yeah, but don't get me wrong.
It's just finding space for him in that side. That's the trick, is where do you play him? Because he can technically also cover fullback. He has played fullback before. We know he grew up playing centre and he wanted to emulate another Springbok legend. He played wing for the Bulls. So he also gives you a lot of utility in the back line, which is great.
So you think his preferred position should be centre?
I think so. I think that's his future.
Again, he's 21 years old. He's in and amongst, am I right? 21 years old, I think.
21, 22. Yeah, he's still young.
He's in and amongst amazing players who've been in the game, as you say, who are coming maybe to the twilight years of their game. He's got all the right infrastructures around him to learn and develop and grow and just become this beast of a rugby player, to take ownership of any position he really wants, whether that be fullback, wing, or centre. I'd like to see him in the centre. I'd like to see him getting the ball more frequently, because I think if he was in that role, he'd be able to make more happen.
Yeah.
But that being said, even on the outside, once he gets the ball in hand, he's still doing things with it, and he's an exciting player to watch. So fair play. I'm chuffed that he's back.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the squad. The big question is, can we lose with this team?
Well,
England, Scotland, Wales. Can any one of those sides beat us with this team?
We can always lose on any given day, because these kind of games are always like cup games. They're like cup final games because they're one-off, right? You've come across for a series. And the home teams, the home nations are always going to get up. They're always going to, and you're the world champion, so there's a crown on your head, and they want to chop that off you. And so there's no bigger motivation. There's nothing better than when, you know, the big boys are coming to town and they're coming to your town and you want to prove a point.
Yeah.
So I think it makes for really interesting games, every single one of those games, because all of those teams will be wanting to take a scalp. Personally, I don't believe that any one of them will, just because you see the strength and depth that we have. I mean, we're going to be fielding like world champions on any given day.
Absolutely. Now I think we'll be 3 from 3, and we'll have a lot of brandies to celebrate every single week.
I'm on a beer today, but we're going to be drinking
That's
lots of
okay.
brandy and cokes on the.
It is only Wednesday.
It is only Wednesday.
Okay,
It's 8 a.m.
He's lying. It's after work. So, so yeah, here's to the boys, the
Yep.
Bokke, to go 3 from 3. Good luck, Rassie and the boys. We're happy with the team. Not that it matters what we think, but happy to discuss the team selection. For the people out there in YouTube land, again, please like this video, subscribe, click
Share.
the notification button.
Share with your chommies.
Go and follow us on Instagram, follow us on TikTok. We've got an account. We'll post some content there. And try and grow this audience. So yeah, we appreciate the support, and we'll chat again next week. Cheers.